Sunday, November 14th, 2021. Today on the Daily Review, we continue with the modern rom-com series of films suggested to me by my students in my comedy film class. Last night I watched Love, Rosie from 2014, director Christian Ditter, with your host, me, Joe LaRocca. So this stars Lily Collins and Sam Cleflin, whoever the fuck that is. I'm just kidding. So it occurred to me while watching this, oh, that's why I'm the teacher. Okay, so things I've learned. Friends becoming lovers is a subgenre of the rom-com subgenre. This is a storyline that happens, I guess, basically in like 80% of rom-coms. It must be a huge. It's like how revenge stories is like the number one thing for an action movie, or like a troubled child is always like whenever there's a horror movie in a haunting situation. It's like they put a child in a well. They were, it was bad. Anyway, so Lily Collins and Sam Cleflin, they play Alex and Rosie, and they're best friends growing up. And on the 18th birthday, it's funny because Sam is 18, he's 18, looks like he's 35. So basically when they're kids, very similar to yesterday's movie, but the difference is here, they don't have sex. That was the crazy twist they put on this fucking roller coaster of a movie. So he has sex with Bethany, the hot slutty girl, and because sluts, boo. I'm just kidding. Yes. So then she feels really jealous, so she just has sex with the like Abercrombie and Fitch model guy that likes her, who also looks like he's 35 and is like he's like super jacked and everything. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Who are these high school kids? Anyway, she ends up getting pregnant, even though she takes the morning after pill and the condom kind of came off inside her, and which is like, if this were a gross out comedy, they would have made like a lot of jokes about that, but they kind of like dance around it, which I understand, but it feels like a PG version of Something About Mary or something, where they wanted to do like some sort of scandalous sex thing. Not scandalous, but you know what I mean. And it's just like, yeah, okay. So like basically a 1 in a million thing happens. Well, I guess I didn't know that the morning after pill wasn't, whatever. Anyway, she ends up having a baby, so she can no longer go to Boston and go to Harvard. Well, Alex is going to go to Harvard Medical School, which I'm confused about. They're 18 and he's going directly to Harvard Medical School. Don't you have to go undergrad first? Anyway, he goes, and also Boston College has an excellent hotel management course, and you've always wanted to own your own hotel. And so I was like, wait a second, we do? And I looked at Boston College does not have a hotel management course. And then later, she gets into BU, which is Boston University, which is a different school, equally very good school. In fact, I went to both and I teach at both. So they're both fucking brilliant schools. Anyway, so she gets into BU, and then later he's like, did you find out from Boston College? So, and I get it. The movie it's a UK movie. I didn't mention that. So it's a UK based. So like, I understand. They didn't get it, It's like somebody saying Oxford College and Oxford University. I don't know if there's an Oxford College, but you know what I mean? But that just made me go, nothing is shot in Boston. They have like one flyover of like stock footage, or one or two, but it's certainly not a Boston movie, even though the stuff that takes place there, I think, was filmed in either Vancouver or Ireland. It doesn't really feel like Boston at all. But that's okay. Because if it were Boston, there'd be like, someone would be like, fucking Boston kid. Like that, like if they tried to really make it, and it would have been embarrassing, let's go to the fucking baseball park and eat some beans, kid. Go down there. Sully, go get Sully. Pick up the Powerball numbers. Okay, anyway. So yes, so she gets pregnant and she's like, I'm going to give up the baby, blah, blah, blah. She has the baby. She's like, I love this baby. I'm keeping it. So there's like some Catholic undertones, I think, going on there based on the potential Irishness of this movie. Maybe, is it? Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, there's some sweet stuff, like sweet, not like cool, not like radical, like sweet, like nice little stuff with her and the baby and stuff like that. And then halfway through, it looks like they might get together. Finally, Alex and Lily, but no, because Sally, Alex's current lady, is pregnant. So it's basically babies keep getting in the way, and so they have their baby, blah blah blah, things go blah blah blah, and then Rosie's father dies, and then she has all the money in the world, and Alex marries Bethany, that first girlfriend, and then at the end they end up together with the hotel, just like they did with the restaurant at the end of Always Be My Maybe. And so I clocked about 3 jokes in the whole script. So like calling this a rom-com is almost a misnomer. Like it's a romantic movie and it's light, but there's very, very few jokes. I mean, in fact, this movie makes Always Be My Maybe look like a fucking laugh riot. You know, like this is a movie for like, you know, if you took out one or two little kind of like scandalous things like a condom breaking or whatever, if you just made it like, oh, she just got pregnant or whatever, and you just took, you know, softened that a tiny bit, it literally could be like a PG. Maybe it is PG, but it could be like a movie you play in school when it's raining out, you know, and everybody's just like, puts them to sleep, you know. It is quite soporific. Soporific? Am I using that word correctly? Anyway, I'm starting to learn though about the subgenre of rom-comedies, because they're basically like slasher films in that they follow like slasher films. There's this very strict pattern of what happens, and it's just like you can't even fault it for following the tropes. Like that's kind of the thing that it does, and they're just like the same film, but they're like different sides of the same coin. Like one's like the light side of the world and one's the dark side of the world, you know, but it both seems like, even the good ones, you're like, ugh, like so few and far between is there an original like slasher movie or horror movie. Just like it seems like it's really like a couple of decade is there like an interesting reinvention of the rom-com genre, or like doing something different with the tropes. But I get it. These are like comfort food, you know, because I think McCavity explained it yesterday in the comments, which makes a lot of sense. And I do understand it. It is that same thing. It's like when I watch a stupid horror movie that has just as much realism in it as this movie. That's the big thing. That this movie, like, it seems like, oh, well, I don't like horror movies because that stuff's not real, monsters and stuff like that. Which I understand where you're coming from. But in this, it's like, this isn't what life is like either. Like, you don't just have a kid and it doesn't affect you at all. Like, it doesn't affect your body. It doesn't affect your life or you financially, or like, and like when you get divorced, it affects you. Like, compare this to when Harry met Sally, how like the things that happen to them in their life like change them as a person, and we see it, and like they get divorced and it's like a major, like even years later, it's a major part of who they are as a person and their story. And in this, it's just like, I just get divorced, I'm married, divorced, you know, like just like for the convenience of the plot. So it's just as unrealistic, like to what happens in real life when you get married or when you have children, or like, you know, it's like they removed life from the story, like, and they're just like, what if everything was a fucking cotton candy house? Maybe it's because they're always trying their best to kind of stay away from darkness and depression, and like, because they're just supposed to be enjoyable and like we were saying, like comfort food, or you just like put it on and you know it's not going to be some like hardcore plot that stresses you out or that challenges you a whole bunch. And I totally get that, because there's the equivalent type of movie that I'm into. So it's fine that these exist, but if I take a step back and then look as like a filmmaker, storyteller, it's like, boy, they're not even doing anything. Like, at least When Harry Met Sally, on top of all the other things, it's also doing like film ideas, split screen, and interesting shots and composition that could be a painting, you know? Whereas this is just like bam, bam, bam. Here's this scene that's got to happen. Here's this scene. And the only thing they're relying on is the chemistry. And chemistry is more than just two like beautiful people being near each other, you know? And I don't think they really had chemistry. One, because she, throughout the entire movie, looks like she's 18. At one point, her kid, who's like 10, looks older than her. It's like, what the fuck? So she looks too young through the whole movie, and he looks too old. So it always is just like, and he's too like, I'm good looking guy, you know? Like, he's all like, he looks like Clark Kent or something. So all of it just seems hyper unrealistic in terms of the way the world works, and it really makes me love Todd Solondz and and Roger, I almost said Roger Waters again, Jesus, Jonathan Waters, and like John Waters, I almost said Jonathan Winters. Okay, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, this subgenre, both these movies I would say are shit, you know, just like I would say those action movies I watched, like 10 to Midnight, that was shit. You know, just like it's just like following a trope. I mean, and Crazy Stupid Love is truly standing out amongst these. So I got to keep going, and I don't remember what students recommended me what. So don't worry, guys. It will not affect your grade. But my God, I feel like I'm being punished with little Cupid punches, and it sucks. Maybe it's, you know, maybe I think I'm learning a lot about myself and how I'm filled with just, you know, guts and black stuff, you know, as Nelson Muntz would say. All right, let's do a little music, or as my dad would say, one of these days I'll figure out what you're doing at the end of your show there. Is it that confusing? Hang on, let me shut the door. You know, I know it's not like the Everly Brothers or whatever, but it's no Andre Bocelli, Dad, but you don't get that? It's just a drum beat. It's the most universal thing, is a drum beat, right? I guess that's all we're getting today. What, did the battery run out? Oh, no. Oh, there we go. Is there anything on this? Love Rosie. Not me. Except my niece. My niece is named Rosie, so that's a little troublesome. I wish this movie had been great, so I could have been like, here's a movie with your name on it. Okay. Bye. Gotta cover your gear. Gotta cover your gear. Gotta cover your gear. You gotta cover your gear. Take it easy, guys.